Okay, so question number 1 is with 20 marks. The first question is in relation to limits of a function. To evaluate the limit of any given function, the first option or the first thing that you need to do is to substitute. So in our question, if you look at our question, we are trying to evaluate the limit of 32 minus 2x squared divided by 8 minus 2x, and we're evaluating the limit as x approaches 4. So the first option is for you to substitute. So take the 4, you put it in place of x. When you do that, do you get 0 over 0? Yes, you do get 0 over 0. So when you do get 0 over 0, that means you need to factorize. You need to factorize the expression. So I want you to factorize 32 minus 2x squared divided by 8 minus 2x. Right, so I want you to factorize. I'll give you about 1 minute to do that. Factorize the numerator and denominator. Right, so when you substitute 4, you get 0 over 0. Right, so whenever you get 0 over 0, it is advisable that you factorize. So when you factorize the numerator, you get 2 into 16 minus x squared. And in the denominator, you get 2 into 4 minus x. Now, if you look at 16 minus x squared, you can still further factorize. So you can further factorize 16 minus x squared, so that becomes 4 plus x, and then 4 minus x. Right? I also see that most of you have answers in the chat, and I see that you also have, there's a few discussions saying that the limit is equal to 8. Okay, so you further factorize. When you factorize, you'll notice that you have a common factor, and your common factor is 4 minus x. So all you need to do is cancel 4 minus x. So now you're just computing the limit of 2 into 4 plus x over 2. All right. These are the only term that is left after you factorize. That's this one here, this, and in the denominator you have 2. So hence why we have 2 into 4 plus x. And then when you substitute 4, you get 2 into oh yes, you cancel 2 and 2, so you're left with 4 plus x, and then we have 4 plus 4, and our limit is equal to 8. Okay, so for this question, first thing is to substitute the limit. Take the limit, substitute in place of x. If you get 0 over 0, that means you need to factorize. And when you factorize, you will see the common factor. Remove the common factor, and then you can substitute the limit once again. Okay, so that's it for question number 1. I will do one question for each so that we have time to cover all the questions. The solution that I will give, we've answered all the questions in the sample paper, so I'll just discuss one question of each. I hope that's fine. Okay, so now let's move on. The next one is on continuity. For continuity of a function, it is important that you satisfy 3 conditions. Okay, so in order for you to identify whether a function is continuous or not, it must satisfy 3 conditions. Number 1, it must be defined. Okay, so let's take, for instance, in this question that we have right here, you have a function f of x, and you're trying to find out if it is continuous at x equal to 1. Right? You're trying to find out if it's continuous at x equal to 1. So the first thing that you need to find out is f of 1 defined? Meaning, when you take the 1 and you put it into the function, do you get an answer? The second one is, does the limit exist? The limit must exist if the left limit is equal to the right limit. And the final one is the value for f of 1 equal to the limit? So these are three conditions that's given here. Number one, you have f of 1. The value for f of 1 is -5. So that means we can say that f of 1 is defined. Okay, so we can state that f of 1 is defined. So f of 1 is defined. Sorry. And so f of 1 is defined because we have an answer. When you substitute 1, the answer is -5. The second condition says the left limit is equal to 5 and the right limit is equal to 5. So the first condition is the function defined. Yes, it is defined. Number two is the limit. Does the limit exist? Right? So does the limit exist? We can check the left limit and the right limit. Since the left limit and the right limit are the same, right? So since the left limit and the right limit are the same, we can say that the limit exists. And the final condition is to check if f of 1 is equal to the limit. So the value for f of 1 is -5, whereas the limit, okay, the limit is equal to +5.
Oh yeah?
So right, so f of 1 is equal to -5. And then you have the left limit for f of x as x approaches 1 from the left, that's equal to 5. And the right limit, which is f of x, is equal to when 1 approaches from the right, that's equal to +5. Okay, so the first condition is f of 1 defined? All right, so defined meaning when you take 1, you get an answer. Our answer is 5. So that means, yes, the function is defined. Number 2, does the limit for the function exist? Does the limit for f of x exist? All right, so for this to exist, you can check the left limit and the right limit. The value for the left limit is this one here, that's 5. And the right limit, what is the value for the right limit? The right limit is also equal to 5. So for the limit to exist, these two values must be the same. So since the left is equal to the right, then we can say that the limit exists. Okay, so the second condition is satisfied. The last condition is the value for f of 1 is that equal to the limit for f of x? So the value for f of 1, our value is -5, and the limit, right? The limit is equal to 5. Is it the same? No, they're not the same. Okay, so that means one condition is not satisfied. So what I'm trying to say is, in order for us to say that a function is continuous, you must satisfy all three conditions. Okay, so since f of 1 is not equal to the limit, we can say that the function f of x, so we can say f of x is discontinuous at x equal to 1, at x equal to 1. And if it says to give a reason for your answer, we can say because f of 1 is not equal to the limit for the function as you approach 1. Am I making sense? Is everyone clear with question number 2? Yes, okay. All clear with question number 2? Do you think you'll be confident to answer the remaining questions? Okay, so we can move on to question number 3 now. Just type move on so that we can move on to the next question. Question number 3, it is using the definition of derivative. Now, what you need to understand is, for the definition of derivative, we are not going to give you the formula for definition of derivative. Okay, so we're not going to give the formula. You have to remember the formula for definition of derivative. So we will do question number 3a. Question number 3a, 2x minus 3x squared. Use the definition of derivative to differentiate f of x is equal to 2x minus 3x squared. Now, one thing that I want to highlight for question number 3, our sample paper, it has polynomial, right? You have x to the power. We're not going to look at square root function. We're not going to look at the rational function. So we'll just focus on the polynomial. That's why I'm giving questions related to the polynomial. Please take note of that. I know that most of you are aware of this, especially when I give out sample papers for the test. It's the same concept that I'm using for the final exam. So make sure you just focus on polynomials. So we'll do 3a. We'll have a look at 3a. So question number 3a, we have a function, f of x is equal to 2x minus 3x squared. Minus 3x squared. So the definition of derivative says to find f dash of x, right? So to find f dash of x, we have to find the limit as h approaches 0 for f of x plus h minus f of x divided by h. This right here is the definition of derivatives. So we have the equation for f of x. We have to find the equation for f of x plus h. So first, let's find the equation for f of x plus h. All right. So 2 minus x. Wherever you see x, you're going to put x plus h. And as long as you have a power, you have to expand. I want you to expand this. 3x f of x plus h is equal to 2 into x plus h minus 3 into x plus h squared. I'll give you about 2 minutes to expand this so that we get the equation for f of x. Can you do that now? Right, so 2 into x plus h minus 3 into x plus h squared. So 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times h is plus 2h. The next one, it is x plus h squared. So x plus h squared is x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. Do we have any questions about this? How did we get x squared plus 2x plus h squared? Remember, x plus h squared means x plus h times x plus h. Okay, so when we remove, we have 2x plus 2h minus 3x squared minus 6xh minus 3h squared. So again, this is our equation for f of x plus h. Now we're going to substitute these two information into the formula for definition of derivative. This is the definition of derivative because this is going to help us to find the equation for the derivative. So I'll draw a line here. Limit as h approaches 0, f of x plus h minus f of x. So our equation for f of x plus h is 2x plus 2h minus 3x squared minus 6xh minus 3h squared. So that's this, the first part to the definition. The next one is minus f of x, minus f of x. F of x is the original equation that we have. So we're going to put, make sure you put that in bracket, minus, open bracket, 2x minus 3x squared, and divided by h. So now, because we have brackets, we have to remove the brackets. Be careful when you are removing brackets. So 2x plus 2h minus 3x squared minus 6x minus 3h squared. And when you remove this bracket, you get minus 2x and then plus 3x squared divided by h. Now we simplify, right? So now we simplify. 2x and 2x will cancel. Negative 3x squared and the positive 3x, these two will cancel. So what do you have left in the numerator? So now we only have the limit as h approaches 0 to h minus 6xh minus 3h squared divided by h. So from here, if we substitute h is equal to 0, right? So if you substitute h is equal to 0, you will notice that this is 2 into 0, this is 6x into 0, this is 3 into 0 squared, so it's 0 over 0. We've just discussed this earlier. When you get 0 over 0, what do you do when you get 0 over 0? You need to factorize, okay? So you need to factorize. So when you factorize the numerator, you have h into 2 minus 6x minus 3h over h. So h approaching 0, we cancel. We're going to cancel the common factor. When we cancel the common factor, we are just computing the limit for h into 0 or 2 minus, 2 minus 6x. So your final answer is f dash of x is equal to, minus 3h. So 2 minus 6x minus 3h. So when you substitute h is equal to 0, this, the last term becomes 0. So that means f dash of x is equal to 2 minus 6x. Okay, let me point out a few things that I noticed in the short test. Right? In the short test, this is some of the mistakes that students made in the short test. Can you view the working? Right, so these are some of the common mistakes that most of you make in this question. First of all is the limit. All right, it's important that you write the limit. Limit as h approaches 0, okay? You keep writing the limit up until this step. The moment you substitute h is equal to 0, then you will stop writing the limit. Okay, that's number one. Number 2, when you are expanding, this one here, this x plus h squared, this is equal to x plus h times x plus h. All right. Some students make the mistake x plus h squared. They do x squared plus h squared. This is not correct. Okay. So the other thing as well is you have to show all the steps. These steps here, 1, 2, 3, 4. All these steps must be shown so that you get full marks. So keep that in mind. Please do not do any shortcut when you are solving a definition of derivatives. I hope I've made myself clear. All right, I hope I've made myself clear. So can we move on to question number 4, part 4 of question number 1? Okay, so can you view the whiteboard? The equation is h of x is equal to 3 and the square root of 4x minus 7, and then you have a natural log, and then 2x squared, 2x cubed plus 1. All right, so f of x, I'm going to show you f of x. 3 square root is 4x minus 7. Oh, thank you. It's squared. So 4x squared minus 7 square root means to the power of half. And for g of x, it is ln of 2x cubed plus 1. I want you to differentiate, find f dash of x and find g dash of x. So f dash of x, the 3 times the half, that's 3 over 2. 3 over 2. And then now the power reduces by 1, which is negative half. Remember, 4x squared minus 7 will remain. And then multiply by the derivative of the inner function. What is the derivative of the inner function? The derivative of the inner function is 8x. Okay, so that means when you simplify, the 8x is multiplied with 3 over 2. Right, the 8x is multiplied with 3 over 2. That means 8x times 3 over 2 is 12x over 12x into 4x squared minus 7 to the power of negative half. So this right here is f dash of x. Right, so what about g dash of x? G dash of x is 1 over 2x cubed plus 1. And when you multiply, and then you multiply by the derivative of 2x squared plus 1, which is 6x squared. So G dash is, did somebody just erase my working? So G dash is equal to 6x squared on 2x cubed plus 1. Right, so now let's use the product rule. And the product rule says f times g dash. So this one here times g dash. So I'm going to put 3 4x squared minus 7 times g dash, which is 6x squared upon 2x cubed plus 1. And then the next one is g multiplied with f dash, right? G multiplied with f dash. So g multiplied with f dash, g is the ln 2x cubed plus 1 times f dash, which is 12x into 4x squared minus 7 to the power of half. Okay, so this is what I mean by simplifying. When it says simplify, you multiply the 3 and the 6x squared. Right, the 3 and the 6x squared, that gives us 18x squared into 4x squared minus 7 to the power of half, and you have a denominator which is 2x cubed plus 1. And then this one here, you have a natural log, you have a 12x, and you have half. Okay, so 12x comes first, and then followed by 4x squared minus 7 to the power minus half, and then you have the ln and 2x cubed plus 1. Okay, any questions? So that's with regards to the product rule. That is with regards to the product rule. The next one is the quotient, is the chain rule. Next one is the chain rule. Let's move this up. We'll do one question from the chain rule. Y is equal to negative cosecant to the power of 4, and then you have 5x cubed minus 1. So using the chain rule, you have to differentiate the power, which is 4. The power is 4, and then you multiply by the derivative of the trig, which is cosecant, and then you multiply by the derivative of the angle. What is our angle? 5x cubed minus 1. So this is chain rule. First you differentiate the power, and then you differentiate the trig, and then you differentiate the angle. But not only do you differentiate that, you differentiate the power, multiply by the derivative of the trig, all right, and then multiply by the derivative of the angle. Okay, so we differentiate the power. If I rewrite this, I get, there's a -1, and then you have cosecant, -1, and then you have cosecant, 5x cubed minus 1, and the square bracket is to the power of 4. So this negative, that's this one here, you have the cosecant, and the 4 is outside. So first let's differentiate the 4. The derivative of 4 is, bring the 4 to the front, it becomes minus 4. And then the power now reduces to 3. Okay, remember, do not change whatever's inside. So that is the first part, the derivative of the power. Now let's differentiate the trig function. What is the derivative of trig? What is the derivative of cosecant? You can check our formula. The derivative of cosecant is negative, right? The derivative of cosecant is negative cosecant x cot x, okay? Negative cosecant x cot x. So that means it's negative cosecant angle and then cot and then the angle. Right? So this is this part here. And then I multiply by the derivative of the angle. What is the derivative of 5x cubed minus 1? 15x squared. So multiply by 15, multiply by 15x squared. Okay, any questions before I carry on? Right, so now let's try and simplify this. When we simplify, the negative 4 is multiplied with a negative in front of cosecant, and that's also multiplied with the 15x squared. When you multiply them all together, what do you get? 60, and then the x squared. All right, so negative 4 times negative times 15 is 60x to the power of 2. All right, 16x squared, 60x squared, and then followed by a cosecant to the power of 3 and cosecant. These two here, when you multiply these two, you get cosecant 4, 5x cubed minus 1. And then the last one is cot of 5x cubed minus 1. Okay? Any questions? About chain rule? Any questions about chain rule? All right, so why is it cosecant to the power of 4? Our derivative, if you look at our derivative, this line here, this line right here, this equal sign here. Do you understand how we got this line? Negative 4 cosecant to the power 3. And then you multiply by the derivative of cosecant, which is negative cosecant 5x cubed minus 1 cotangent 5x cubed minus 1. This here, these two here, these two are the same. But one has the power of 3 and the other is to the power of 1. So when you add 3 and 1, it gives you cosecant to the power of 4. Cosecant to the power of 4, 5x cubed minus 1. Right? So final question. I think we've gone past 10 o'clock. last question, which is the quotient rule, the equation for quotient rule. For quotient rule, we only have one question, and that is to differentiate y is equal to 3 tangent 1 minus 5x divided by 3x squared. So how do we use quotient rule? Quotient rule, you identify f of x. So usually f of x is the numerator. And then the denominator is usually labeled as g of x. So f of x is 3 tangent 1 minus 5x. So when you differentiate 3 tangent 1 minus 5x, the 3 remains. Derivative of secant of tangent is secant squared. The angle is 1 minus 5x, and we multiply by the angle, which is -5. -5. So that means our f dash of x is equal to -15 secant squared secant squared 1 minus 5x. Can you differentiate g of x? What is the derivative of gx? If gx is 3x squared, what is g dash? G dash is 6x, right? G dash is 6x. So now we put that into the formula. dy dx for the product rule, it's g times f dash. G is 3x squared. Sorry, it's not 3x squared, it's 3x cubed. Thank you. This is 3x cubed. So this becomes 9x squared. 9x squared. So 3x cubed times f dash, which is -15 secant squared 1 minus 5x. That's g times f dash minus f times g dash. F is 3 tangent 1 minus 5x times g dash, which is 9x squared, and all this is divided by g squared, so 3x cubed to the power of 2. Now when you simplify the 3x is multiplied with -15. 3x is multiplied with -15, so we get -45 x cubed, and then the secant squared 1 minus 5x, and then the 9 times the 3 is minus 27x squared, and then tangent of 1 minus 5x. And what is g squared? If I remove the bracket, what do you get? G squared is 3 3x cubed to the power of 2. that is equal to 9x to the power of 6. 9x to the power of 6. So g times f dash minus f times g dash divided by g squared. Okay, so any questions with regards to question number 1 before we move on to question 2?